Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran, and in today's video I want to talk a bit about Legion Beta Arenas and my experiences with it, some of the things that I'm very happy about, and some of the things I would love to see come out by the time the game releases in August. These are my opinions, but they're talking basically about arenas, 2s, 3s, and how specific classes have specific roles in PvP, and that's just the part that makes me the happiest, is the specificity. So let's start it with the easy topic to discuss. No healers in 2s arenas is so freaking nice. Now, this is just in skirms right now. I haven't tried it in rated arenas. As far as I know, healers for 2s in skirms are unavailable. I'm not sure how the game is going to manage this by the time it comes out in August, but I'd be pretty happy that when I queue 2s, I don't run into a healer DPS team. In Warlords General and in Pandaria, healer DPS teams were just a bit too strong for double DPS to manage, unless you had like specific double DPS team that had some sort of a cheese mechanic. Some of those classes are Combat Rogue Boomkin, for example, where you just basically burst in the opener. Then you have DK Monk, where you basically just burst somebody real quick in the opener. Or a Red Paladin Hunter, where you just, again, burst somebody in the opener. So besides the cheese mechanics, you are going to have, first of all, a lot more variety of specs and classes that are playing together for 2s arenas. And with healers gone, you're gonna see a lot more classes play together. And yes, some combinations are gonna be that much stronger. Like currently on the Legion beta, right now, Beastmaster Hunter and Affliction Warlock is one of the stronger comps that I've faced thus far. Mainly because you don't really hit Affliction Warlock that often, simply because they're just that tanky and it's hard to break through their defensives. And they have a fairly easy way of dealing good sustained damage. With that, they also are backed up by the Beastmaster Hunter strong offensives, which they don't even need to be on you whenever they're bursting. Just as long as their pet is attacking you, that is the majority of their damage. So even if they've been trained, they just need to play defensives and live long enough. Let the Affliction Warlocks get some steady damage out there, get the dots rolling, and you're not going to hit Affliction. So you're trying to sit on Beastmaster Hunter, and while the Beastmaster Hunter isn't attacking you directly, his pets definitely are tearing you apart the longer the game lasts. So it's really just a race against time, or maybe it's a race against, a trinket. So you kind of got to learn different ways of playing around with these comps and against different variations. But I feel like definitely there's a lot more variety when you have just DPS-based characters, because there's definitely a lot more DPS in the game than healers. So you don't have this Warlords General variety, quote unquote, where you have a Survival Hunter Resto Druid, or Survival Hunter Priest, or a DK Pally Healer, or maybe Affliction Warlock Resto Shaman. And that's basically, that is the high-end comps that you will see ever. Because then, specific comps work specifically well together. So one of the things, variety, is something I'm excited to see in Legion. Another thing, I feel like because of the variety of different comps that you can play, the game feels a bit alive. Like, for example, this game right here is me and a Hunter versus a Feral Shadow Priest. Our playstyle of me with a Hunter is going to be far different from one another compared to the Shadow Priest and the Feral and the way that they play. They're going to try to play up to their strengths, and we're going to try to play up to our strengths, and we're going to try to see if we can cover each other's weaknesses. Like, for example, the Feral sitting on my Hunter is a bad thing, so I'm there to peel the Hunter. If I'm sitting Feral, that is good for me because the Feral is taking a lot of steady damage over time with the Beastmaster Hunter on him, but that's bad for our Shadow Priest because the Feral is dying and the Shadow Priest is next. So the Shadow Priest needs to take the time to heal the Feral and support him whenever he can in terms of his health going down, and try to play the support role while helping out with the sustained dot damage while trying to build for his insanity in order to create a defensive position into an offensive position. So the fact that both of our specs and our comps are just playing different strategies, it just feels very much rewarding just playing the game, let alone winning with your chosen strategy. It just is a lot of fun. I'm genuinely just enjoying how things are, what kind of different double DPS combinations you get, what combinations work, what combinations don't work, and especially I'm playing a spec that is the Outlaw Rogue. It is very high in terms of range. It has really strong sustained damage, has a lot of CC. So I'm having a lot of fun. I'm not just a spec that's all about raw damage. I'm the spec that kind of does the setups and tries to set up for the other DPS. If they have a lot of damage, I'm kind of trying to open up opportunities for them. So I'm having a lot of fun playing that, and just makes the game feel definitely alive. And when we're playing against all these other comps that have different strategies, trying to play your strat, they're trying to play their strat, you just end up playing the game and enjoying it a lot more often, is I guess what I'm trying to say. You could probably tell just how passionate and excited I was in terms of talking about 2's arenas, because for the longest time, me and Tirga have faced in so many healer DPS comps, and we had to cheese the mechanics so often, and in some cases we just can never break through defenses of, let's say, a paladin DK, because the paladin has Bob, he has Bubble, the Death Knight just has severely strong self-healing, and he could just sit on the boomkin the whole time. So there's not a lot Tirga can do, there's not a lot I can do for Tirga, but in the game, just with all the class changes and how they interact with each other in PvP, I just feel it's just one of the best changes that ever happened for Legion, and maybe for World of Warcraft PvP in general, but I could be wrong. This is beta. Anything is scheduled to change by the time the game comes out in August, so don't take my words too harshly for yourselves. Now I kind of want to transition the conversation into 3v3 arenas and talk about a thing that I'm really enjoying about Legion. Probably one of the best changes they've done is the idea of specificity. Now, each spec in Warlord's Genre, each spec of a single class didn't really make too huge of a difference in terms of your playstyle. On one hand, you can take a look at the mage. You have Arcane Mage, who's all about building stacks and then unleashing stacks. You have a Fire Mage, who's all about casting dots and running around the move and crits, big crits. Then you have your Frost Mage, who's all about getting shatters and has a pet and has a lot of CC viability and can root targets and slow targets over and over and over. But then you take a look at a Hunter. Hunter is probably the best example of what I'm trying to say. Each spec of Hunter plays basically the same way. All 3 specs of Hunters have a deterrence, all of them have a feign death, all of them have a variety of traps that they can unload on a target and crowd control. They have the same amount of CC, they have the same amount of utility like Pet Sack and Master's Call, they can have the same exact pets, they play basically the same way. The only thing that is different is some of their buttons in rotation. For the longest time, the idea of buttons was like one gets aim shot, one gets kill command, the other gets like explosive shot and just a black arrow. For the most part, that is the difference in terms of your playstyle. Your mastery and just how much burst you have or how much sustained damage you have does also play into the equation a little bit, but it just like the amount of variety, quote unquote variety, is just a bit dull compared to what Legion allows you and what Legion offers. You want a Hunter spec with a lot of traps and a lot of CC, survival is your way to go, but in the end you lose this range capability. If you want to lose that range damage, you can go Marksman or Beast Mastery, and both of them will have different playstyles and different things that they focus on once they enter Arena. Same thing can be said for Rogues. Same thing can be said for both specs of Warriors, and I feel like same thing can be said for both specs of DKs. The only class that I don't think has any specificity is the Warlock. I don't think Affliction, Destruction, and Demonology vary too much, except in terms of how they deal damage, but I'm not big on utility. I'm not big on Warlocks. I haven't really checked them out in the beta, so that is a fault on me, but I don't really want to, give Warlocks a bad name at all. This is just so far what I noticed from playing against Warlocks and playing with Warlocks. You don't really play a different playstyle, you just play the same way you normally would. Besides Warlocks, I feel like every spec in a game in PvP serves a specific role, might even have specific comps that play, or be exclusively good with other specific specs. And I feel like this uniqueness is something that is needed to the game. We play the specs, we play because of the fantasy, because of the playstyle, because of the abilities, the cooldowns, the names, because of how we imagine our character to be when we play those specs. And that is something a lot of people lose in terms of PvP and PvE when you're looking at results and numbers themselves. I am definitely at fault, at a big fault in that department. But being able to play Outlaw the way it is made, the way it is designed, I feel so unique. It's so much fun. Just feeling this unique when you're PvPing. And that's probably the best part of Legion, is just how specific and unique all specs are. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.